Hidden in the rugged mountains between two of the ancient world's most powerful empires, Assyria and Urartu, lay a kingdom largely forgotten by history, Zeke. Once a vibrant and resilient civilization, Zeke thrived in the shadow of giants, carving out its own identity through culture, warfare, and diplomacy. Yet, despite its strategic importance, this vanished power remains shrouded in mystery, its language barely deciphered, and its story fragmented across archaeological ruins and ancient texts. Join us as we journey deep into the heart of the Near East, unveiling the secrets of the Kingdom of Zeke, a tale of survival, ingenuity, and a legacy nearly lost to time. What happens when a small kingdom stands between two powerful empires locked in an endless struggle? How did the Kingdom of Zeke survive for centuries, maintaining its culture and power despite overwhelming odds? And why did this once thriving civilization vanish so completely from history? Today, we unravel the untold story of Zeke, its people, its battles, and the secrets hidden beneath the mountains. Stay with us as the past comes alive in this extraordinary journey through a forgotten world. Nestled deep within the formidable highlands of ancient Mesopotamia, between the colossal powers of Assyria to the south and Urartu to the north, once lay a forgotten kingdom known as Zeke. Little more than a whisper in the chronicles of history, Zeke has long remained in the shadows, overshadowed by its more dominant neighbours and left behind in the annals of empire. Yet, despite its obscurity, this enigmatic realm once played a crucial role in the balance of power that shaped the ancient Near East. Zeke was not merely a geographical buffer. It thrived at a strategic crossroads, commanding vital trade routes that linked the Assyrian heartland to the mountainous frontiers of Urartu and beyond. Its territory included treacherous mountain passes and fertile upland valleys, granting it control over commercial flows, military movements, and cultural exchanges between rival states. In this way, Zeke became more than a passive bystander. It was a shrewd and necessary player in a region defined by shifting alliances, tribal rivalries, and imperial ambitions. Unlike the grand stone reliefs of Assyria or the fortified citadels of Urartu, Zeke left behind few enduring monuments. What we know of it comes largely from the margins of enemy inscriptions and fleeting references in ancient correspondence, fragments that hint at a people both resilient and adaptive. Neither fully Assyrian nor Urartian, the Zikwans appear to have forged a hybrid identity, blending local traditions with influences absorbed from greater powers. But then, as with so many forgotten civilizations, Zeke disappeared. Whether through conquest, assimilation, or gradual decline, it faded from maps and memory alike. Yet questions linger. Who were these people? How did they endure in such a volatile landscape? And what ultimately led to their erasure? The territory of Zeke lay in a crucial, turbulent corridor, wedged between two of the ancient world's most formidable powers, Assyria, the expansive imperial force dominating Mesopotamia, and Urartu, the mountain stronghold kingdom rooted in the Armenian highlands. This rugged frontier was far more than a geographic divide. It was a volatile and highly contested zone, both a battleground and a bridge, where diplomacy, trade, and war converged. And in the heart of it stood Zeke, an elusive kingdom that thrived in the margins of giants. Zeke's position made it one of the most strategically important regions of its time. It sat astride critical ancient trade routes that funneled resources from the lowland cities of the Fertile Crescent to the highland fortresses of the north. Through its valleys and mountain passes flowed metals from the mountains, timber from upland forests, and horses prized by armies and traders alike. These were not luxuries, but lifelines for empires. Whoever held Zeke controlled access to the economic arteries that fueled the ambitions of both Assyria and Urartu. But Zeke was more than just a way station or military buffer. It was a melting pot of cultures, where Assyrian merchants, Urartian emissaries, tribal leaders, and mountain clans crossed paths. The kingdom likely absorbed and blended customs, languages, and technologies from both spheres of influence, forging a unique identity tailored to survival amid constant pressure. Yet, despite its clear geopolitical importance, Zeke remains shrouded in mystery. What little we know comes from fleeting mentions in Assyrian and Urartian inscriptions, never in rich detail, always on the periphery. It's as if the kingdom existed in the footnotes of history, recognized but never fully recorded, whether due to deliberate omission, destruction of records, or its eventual absorption by more powerful neighbors. Zeke's legacy remains fragmented. Still, its presence echoes faintly through the corridors of time, a lost kingdom that once stood firm between empires, adapting, enduring, and ultimately vanishing into the forgotten chapters of ancient history. The earliest known references to the kingdom of Zeke emerge not from its own archives, none of which have survived, but from the royal annals of the Assyrian Empire, particularly during the reigns of expansionist monarchs like Tiglath-Pileser III, Sargon II, and Shalmaneser III. In these texts, Zeke is often portrayed as a troublesome borderland, alternately labelled as a vassal, a rebellious tributary, or simply one of the many mountain peoples resisting imperial domination. These records reflect the Assyrian worldview, one in which control over distant regions like Zeke was asserted through military campaigns and tributary arrangements, even when such control was more aspirational than actual. Tiglath-Pileser III, known for his aggressive policies and administrative reforms, detailed several campaigns into the Zagros and Armenian highlands, including punitive expeditions against loosely organized tribal confederations, many of which scholars now believe included or bordered Zeke's domain. Despite these repeated incursions, Zeke seems to have avoided full conquest, leveraging its rugged terrain, regional knowledge, and most importantly, shifting alliances to maintain a precarious independence. At times, the kingdom likely paid tribute to Assyria to avoid direct conflict, while at others it may have sought protection or leverage through closer ties with Urartu or even smaller highland states. This pattern of flexible diplomacy and calculated resistance suggests that Zeke's rulers were politically savvy, adept at navigating the volatile dynamics of a region caught between superpowers. However, the surviving Assyrian and Urartian texts offer only fragmentary glimpses into the kingdom's internal affairs. There are no surviving names of Zikwan kings, no clear records of succession, no inscriptions from Zeke itself, only scattered mentions in foreign records that hint at a structured polity capable of negotiation, resistance, and survival. These partial glimpses leave us with a tantalizing mystery. Zeke was clearly a player in the political landscape of the ancient Near East, yet its story remains frustratingly incomplete, written not in its own voice but in the margins of its enemies' triumphs. Though the exact location of Zeke's capital remains a mystery, archaeologists and historians believe it was likely a fortified city built high on a mountain plateau, strategically positioned to watch over the narrow passes and trade routes below. This elevated perch would have provided both a natural defense and a commanding view of the surrounding landscape, a vital advantage in a region often caught between the ambitions of rival empires. The city was probably enclosed by thick stone walls, reinforced with guard towers, and supported by granaries that stored food to withstand long sieges. Inside these walls, life thrived. Markets buzzed with activity as merchants and caravans passed through, bringing goods from across the Near East. Bronze tools, woven textiles, ceramic wares, and exotic spices likely changed hands in these bazaars. Zeke's location at the intersection of lowland empires and highland cultures made it a natural center for both commerce and diplomacy. But it wasn't just goods that flowed through Zeke. Ideas, beliefs, and traditions did as well. Cultural influences from the Hurrians, Armenian Highlanders, and various local tribal groups merged into a unique Zekan identity. Religious practices, architectural styles, and languages likely reflected this rich blend, creating a vibrant and adaptive culture. Though we may never fully reconstruct the city's layout, its legacy as a crossroads of civilizations lives on in the traces it left behind, hidden beneath layers of time and earth. The material culture uncovered in the highland regions believed to be part of ancient Zeke reveals a society that was both rich in tradition and uniquely adaptive. Pottery fragments, in particular, offer valuable clues. Many pieces show a fusion of styles, combining Assyrian and Urartian motifs with distinctive local elements. These hybrid forms suggest that Zeke's artisans were not merely imitators, but innovators, creating designs that reflected their cultural crossroads. excavations of burial sites further deepen our understanding. Within stone-lined tombs and burial mounds, archaeologists have discovered bronze weapons, ornate jewelry, ceremonial items, and elaborately decorated pottery. These findings point to a stratified society where a class of warrior elites held power, supported by skilled artisans and traders. The presence of luxury items alongside utilitarian goods hints at trade networks that extended beyond the immediate region. Such discoveries challenge the notion that Zeke was just a peripheral pawn between empires. Instead, the artifacts paint a picture of a thriving kingdom with its own economic system, social hierarchy, and artistic identity. Though written records are scarce, these physical remnants speak volumes, revealing a culture that stood on its own, adaptable, resilient, and deeply rooted in its mountainous homeland. One of the most enduring mysteries of Zeke is its language, a vital key to understanding any civilization, yet one that remains largely out of reach. To date, only a handful of inscriptions or carved symbols believed to be associated with Zeke have been discovered, and even these are fragmentary and difficult to interpret. The lack of a clear bilingual inscription like the famed Rosetta Stone has made decipherment almost impossible. Some scholars suggest that the language of Zeke may have been related to Hurrian or Urartian, both spoken in the surrounding highlands. However, subtle differences in syntax, vocabulary, and script style hint that Zeke may have possessed a distinct linguistic identity, possibly representing a now extinct branch of a broader language family. If true, this would make Zeke not just a cultural crossroads, but also a linguistic outlier, a unique voice amid the dominant tongues of the region. Without more extensive records, administrative tablets, royal decrees, or religious texts, the true nature of the Zequan language remains speculative. This silence in the written record forces historians to rely heavily on external sources, like Assyrian and Urartian accounts, which are often biased or incomplete. Until new discoveries come to light, Zeke's voice remains lost, its history locked in symbols no one can yet fully read. Zeke existed in a precarious position, caught between two ambitious empires, the militarized might of Assyria and the rising power of Urartu. Each sought to control the highland trade routes and mountain passes that Zeke commanded. Assyria often applied pressure through demands for tribute and military submission, while Urartu pursued influence through diplomacy, alliances, and even royal intermarriage. Historical records suggest that Zeke's allegiance was anything but fixed. In times of Assyrian dominance, the kingdom paid tribute, a gesture of submission meant to avoid direct conflict. Yet, when Assyria's grip weakened due to internal strife or external wars, Zeke would shift its loyalties, sometimes aligning with Urartu to secure greater autonomy. This flexible diplomacy wasn't opportunism, it was survival. Zeke's rulers had to be master negotiators, skilled at reading the political winds and forging ties without surrendering too much control. This balancing act enabled the kingdom to preserve a fragile independence never fully annexed by either empire, always walking a diplomatic tightrope. Zeke remained resilient, navigating a dangerous world by playing larger powers against each other with remarkable skill. Geography shaped Zeke's destiny. The kingdom's mountainous terrain provided natural defense but also isolation. Winters were harsh and summers brief, influencing agricultural practices and settlement patterns. The people of Zeke relied on terrace farming, animal husbandry, and trade to survive. These environmental conditions forged a resilient society, able to withstand the pressures of larger empires. Geography played a defining role in shaping the destiny of Zeke. Nestled within rugged mountain ranges and highland valleys, the kingdom's natural terrain acted as both shield and barrier. Steep cliffs and narrow passes offered strong defensive advantages, making invasions difficult for even the most powerful armies. Yet, this same terrain also led to a degree of isolation, limiting large-scale agriculture and complicating communication with surrounding regions. The climate added further challenges. Harsh winters blanketed the land in snow, while summers were short and cool, restricting the growing season. As a result, the people of Zeke adapted through terrace farming, carving narrow plots into hillsides to cultivate hardy crops like barley and lentils. Animal husbandry, especially of sheep, goats, and horses, played a major role in their economy, providing food, wool, and trade goods. Survival in such an environment required ingenuity, cooperation, and resilience. Trade became essential, linking Zik to broader regional networks. These environmental conditions not only shaped how Zikwans lived, but also how they endured, fostering a society tough enough to resist domination and maintain its identity amid the pressures of encroaching empires. Zik's story is ultimately one of resilience and adaptation in the shadow of rising and falling empires. For generations, this small but strategic kingdom managed to navigate a treacherous political landscape, surviving amid the ambitions of Assyria and Urartu. At times, Zik flourished as a trading hub and cultural bridge, using diplomacy and geography to its advantage. At others, it was forced to retreat into its mountains, weathering invasions and shifting alliances to preserve its sovereignty. This long endurance points to a sophisticated grasp of regional power dynamics, a deep understanding of when to resist, when to negotiate, and how to leverage terrain and trade. Zik's leaders were neither passive subjects nor reckless rebels. They were pragmatic survivors in a world dominated by stronger neighbors. But no balance lasts forever. As both Assyria and Urartu reached their peaks and later began to unravel, the geopolitical stability that allowed Zik to exist began to collapse. Caught in the vacuum left by fading empires, Zik's autonomy eroded and its voice faded from the historical record. Whether it was absorbed, destroyed, or simply abandoned, Zik disappeared, leaving behind only scattered clues and a legacy of survival. Zik's rugged, mountainous terrain made it a natural fortress, shaping not only its defenses but also the skills of its people. The inhabitants became expert warriors, highly trained in mountain warfare and familiar with every narrow path, rocky outcrop, and hidden valley. Though their armies were far smaller than the massive Assyrian legions, Zik's fighters used their intimate knowledge of the landscape to great advantage. Rather than face imperial forces head-on, Zik's troops employed guerrilla tactics, launching swift surprise attacks from the hillsides, then disappearing into the rugged wilderness. Assyrian chronicles describe numerous fierce skirmishes in mountain passes, where Zik warriors ambushed invading troops, cutting supply lines and harassing enemy camps before retreating. This form of asymmetric warfare proved highly effective, allowing Zik to resist subjugation and maintain autonomy despite limited manpower and resources. Their mastery of the terrain and unconventional tactics made them a persistent challenge to even the most powerful empires. Archaeological excavations in the region believed to be ancient Zik have uncovered impressive weaponry, including finely crafted bronze swords, spears, and arrowheads, showcasing a high level of metallurgical skill. Local smiths combined functionality with artistry, producing weapons that were both effective in battle and beautifully decorated, a testament to the kingdom's craftsmanship. Metalworking was a highly esteemed trade, supported by the kingdom's access to rich deposits of copper and tin, essential components of bronze. This ready supply allowed Zik to maintain a steady production of arms, crucial for defending its rugged mountain strongholds against larger invading forces. Beyond military use, Zik's weapons were valuable trade commodities, sought after by neighboring states for their quality and design. The kingdom's expertise in arms manufacturing not only strengthened its defenses, but also bolstered its economy, securing Zik's role as an important player in regional commerce and warfare. Beyond the battlefield, the true backbone of Zik's economy was its agriculture and animal husbandry, finely adapted to the harsh mountain environment. The people engineered terraced farms carved into steep slopes, making it possible to cultivate hardy crops such as barley, wheat, and legumes despite thin, rocky soils. These terraces helped conserve water and soil, maximizing agricultural output in a challenging climate. Alongside farming, herding was essential. Zik's inhabitants raised sheep, goats, and horses, animals well suited to the rugged terrain. These herds provided not only meat and milk, but also valuable products like wool and hides, which were traded with neighboring regions. This combination of farming and herding allowed Zik to sustain itself and remain largely self-sufficient. These subsistence strategies created a resilient society, one capable of enduring long winters, scarce resources, and the pressures of regional conflict. It was this adaptability that helped Zik survive centuries of turmoil. Zik's strategic location along vital trade routes between the Assyrian heartland and the Armenian highlands allowed it to thrive as an important commercial hub. Merchants from across the Near East passed through, bringing goods like pottery, textiles, and precious metals to local markets. In return, Zeke's skilled artisans crafted items that showcased a unique blend of cultural influences from Assyria, Urartu, and indigenous traditions. This rich exchange of goods and ideas made Zeke a crossroads of commerce and culture. Its trade networks extended beyond its immediate neighbours, linking the kingdom with more distant regions, spreading wealth and fostering artistic innovation. Through these connections, Zeke not only enriched its economy but also absorbed diverse cultural elements, creating a vibrant society that reflected the dynamic interactions of the ancient world. Leadership in Zeke likely combined elements of hereditary monarchy and tribal governance. Local chieftains, warlords, and respected elders formed a ruling class that shared power with the king, who served as both the political head and religious leader of the kingdom. This hybrid system allowed for flexible and pragmatic decision-making, essential for navigating the complex and often hostile environment shaped by larger empires. The king's authority was not absolute but depended on carefully cultivated alliances, secured through marriage ties, tribute agreements, and mutual defense pacts with powerful tribal groups. These relationships reinforced social cohesion and ensured military support when needed. This intricate balance of power reflects the kingdom's complex social fabric, where cooperation and negotiation were just as important as hierarchy in maintaining Zeke's survival and autonomy. Religion was deeply intertwined with governance. Zeke's kings were seen as intermediaries between gods and people, legitimizing their rule through divine sanction. Temples dedicated to storm and fertility gods were centers of worship and community life. Archaeologists suggest that seasonal festivals and rituals reinforced social cohesion and the king's sacred status. This spiritual dimension helped unify diverse tribes under a common religious identity. Zeke's art and architecture reflected its position as a cultural crossroads. While influenced by the monumental stonework of Urartu and the intricate reliefs of Assyria, Zeke developed its own styles. Smaller, more functional fortifications and decorative pottery suggest a practical aesthetic suited to mountainous life. Artistic motifs reveal syncretism, blending local traditions with motifs borrowed from neighbours, evidence of ongoing cultural dialogue. The scarcity of written records from Zeke is a major challenge for historians. Few inscriptions survive, and those that do are often fragmentary or undeciphered. These artifacts, including seals and tablets, hint at a complex bureaucracy managing trade, taxation, and diplomacy. Ongoing research into these texts may one day reveal more about Zeke's administration, social laws, and internal politics, shedding light on the kingdom's inner workings. Assyria's expansionist ambitions frequently clashed with Zeke's independence. The empire launched several military campaigns aimed at subjugating the Highland Kingdom, employing massive armies and siege tactics. While Assyrian annals boast of victories, Zeke's harsh terrain made full conquest difficult. Instead, Assyria often resorted to forced tribute, hostage-taking, and political manipulation to maintain influence without outright occupation. Urartu, Zeke's powerful neighbour to the north, sought alliances to counter Assyrian dominance. Zeke often played Urartu's envoys, trading military support and marriage alliances to strengthen ties. These diplomatic maneuvers exemplify Zeke's survival strategy, aligning with the stronger power when beneficial, yet maintaining enough autonomy to resist total domination. Such balancing acts were key to Zeke's endurance in a volatile political landscape. Oral tradition likely played a crucial role in preserving Zeke's history, law, and culture. With limited written records, stories, myths, and genealogies were passed down by elders around fires. These tales told of heroic ancestors, divine interventions, and epic battles, reinforcing group identity and social norms. Tribal markings, tattoos, and rituals further distinguished clans and preserved ancient heritage in the face of outside pressures. Archaeological evidence indicates Zeke endured multiple episodes of destruction, possibly from invasions or internal conflicts. Layers of burned settlements suggest violent clashes followed by periods of reconstruction. This cycle of devastation and renewal highlights the kingdom's resilience, as communities rebuilt walls and homes to defend their homeland. Each destruction layer tells a story of struggle against overwhelming odds. Despite military threats, Zeke thrived economically through trade. Control of mountain passes meant regulating goods moving between the Near East and the Caucasus. Zeke profited from tolls and tariffs, while its merchants sold metals, furs, and crafted items. This economic leverage gave the kingdom bargaining power with larger empires and helped fund its defences and public works. Marriage alliances were political tools to secure peace and strengthen ties. Zeke's rulers intermarried with Urartian nobility to reinforce alliances against Assyria. Such unions cemented diplomatic bonds, exchanged cultural practices, and sometimes brought military aid. These relationships shaped the kingdom's fate and reflect the complex web of power in the region. Artisans in Zeke produced distinctive pottery and finely woven textiles that reveal a sophisticated culture. Pottery decorations combined local motifs with influences from Assyria and Urartu, suggesting a vibrant artistic exchange. Jewelry crafted from bronze, silver, and precious stones symbolized status and identity, often buried with elites in tombs to accompany them in the afterlife. The seasonal rhythms of Zeke's economy were dictated by transhumance, the movement of herds between winter lowlands and summer highlands. This pattern maximized pasture use and minimized conflict over resources. The pastoral lifestyle shaped social organization, with mobile groups maintaining networks that connected scattered villages and fortified centers. The elusive Zeke script remains a mystery. Few inscriptions have been found, and scholars debate their meanings. Some propose they represent an independent language, while others suggest a variant of Urartian or Hurrian. Without a Rosetta Stone equivalent, the secrets of Zeke's written word lie buried, potentially awaiting future discovery to unlock lost chapters of history. Mountain warfare was Zeke's strength. Ambushes, hit-and-run attacks, and knowledge of terrain offset Assyria's numerical superiority. Zeke warriors used agility and surprise to disrupt supply lines and harass enemy camps. This protracted resistance frustrated Assyrian commanders and prolonged Zeke's independence despite repeated invasions. Religious life in Zeke was deeply tied to nature and the cycles of the seasons. Temples dedicated to storm and fertility gods stood at sacred mountain sites, where priests conducted rituals to ensure good harvests and protection in war. These spiritual centers also served as political gathering places, reinforcing the king's divine mandate. Today, the lands that once belonged to ancient Zeke remain remote and rugged, nestled high in the mountains where few dare to venture. Despite the challenges posed by the harsh terrain, modern archaeology brings hope for uncovering new discoveries that can illuminate this lost kingdom's story. Ongoing surveys and careful excavations are gradually revealing the locations of Zeke's forgotten cities, fortresses, and artifacts, each precious find offering invaluable clues about its culture, people, and role in regional history. With every unearthed relic, we come closer to piecing together the life of a vanished power that once controlled critical crossroads between great empires. The story of Zeke is far from over. It continues to unfold quietly beneath these ancient mountains, inviting us to explore and understand a civilization long buried by time. Zeke's urban centers were fortified to withstand sieges, with thick stone walls and strategically placed watchtowers. These cities served as administrative hubs, marketplaces, and refuges during times of conflict. Excavations reveal complex layouts with residential quarters, workshops, and religious sanctuaries, illustrating a highly organized society balancing security and daily life. Zeke's society was stratified, with a ruling elite supported by a class of skilled artisans, farmers, and warriors. Nobles controlled land and resources, commanding loyalty through patronage and military leadership. Artisans crafted goods essential for trade and status, while farmers and herders formed the economic base, sustaining the population and military forces. Religious ceremonies were central to community life, involving elaborate rituals to honor deities and secure blessings. Fire, incense, and symbolic offerings created sacred atmospheres, while priests acted as mediators between gods and people. These rituals reaffirmed social order and the king's divine right, fostering unity in a kingdom surrounded by rival powers. The geopolitical landscape was volatile, with shifting alliances and conflicts reshaping borders. Zeke maneuvered diplomatically between Assyria and Urartu, at times aligning with one to counterbalance the other. This delicate balancing act involved tribute payments, military cooperation, and strategic marriages, reflecting the kingdom's political acumen. Assyrian military technology was formidable, including battering rams, siege towers, and iron weapons. Yet, their attempts to conquer Zeke's mountain strongholds often met with limited success. The natural defenses, combined with Zeke's guerrilla tactics, forced Assyrians into costly, drawn-out campaigns, underscoring the kingdom's resilience. Burial practices in Zeke reveal beliefs about the afterlife and social status. Elite tombs contained weapons, pottery, and jewelry, items thought to accompany the dead beyond death. These grave goods highlight the warrior ethos and the importance of craftsmanship, while offering archaeologists valuable clues about social hierarchy and cultural values. Marketplaces in Zeke were vibrant centers where local and imported goods exchanged hands. Merchants dealt in metals, textiles, spices, and livestock, connecting the kingdom to broader economic networks. These hubs fostered cultural exchange, spreading ideas and technologies and enhancing Zeke's wealth and influence in the region. Zeke's mountainous terrain shaped its communication and defense strategies. Narrow passes and high vantage points allowed rapid warnings of approaching enemies. Messenger systems and watchposts enabled coordination among scattered settlements, while the landscape itself formed a natural barrier that protected the kingdom from full-scale invasions. Cultural influences from Assyria, Urartu, and local traditions blended in Zeke's material culture. Pottery designs incorporated motifs seen across the Near East, while metalwork displayed both functional and decorative elements. This syncretism illustrates Zeke's role as a cultural bridge, absorbing and adapting foreign elements while maintaining distinct local identity. The changing seasons profoundly dictated life in Zeke, shaping the daily routines and long-term plans of its people. Harsh winters often isolated mountain communities, cutting off trade routes and forcing residents to rely on stored food and resources. With the arrival of spring came renewal. Fields were tilled, crops planted, and livestock tended to, marking a vital period of agricultural activity crucial for survival. These seasonal cycles also influenced cultural festivals, religious ceremonies, and community gatherings, reinforcing social bonds. Military campaigns were planned around favorable weather, avoiding the challenges of winter's cold and snow. Trade too followed the rhythms of the seasons, with merchants timing their journeys to ensure safe passage. This intimate connection with nature shaped Zeke's rhythms and resilience. The royal court of Zeke served as the kingdom's political heart, a dynamic center where the king exercised authority with a council of nobles, priests, and military commanders. This assembly of influential figures worked together to navigate the complex challenges facing the kingdom, blending tradition with practical governance to maintain order and stability. Despite the scarcity of surviving texts, scribes played a crucial role within the court, meticulously maintaining records, managing correspondence with neighboring states, and preserving legal codes that governed daily life. The court was not only a place of decision-making, but also a hub for cultural and religious activity, where rituals reinforced the king's divine right to rule. Through this balance of spiritual authority and political pragmatism, the royal court helped Zeke endure external threats and internal pressures, anchoring the kingdom's resilience in a volatile region. Zeke's military strength relied on rigorous training and mastery of terrain. Warriors specialized in archery, spear throwing, and horseback maneuvers, skills vital in mountain warfare. Training began young, instilling discipline and tactics tailored to ambush and rapid mobility, crucial for defending their rugged homeland from larger imperial armies. Art and symbolism in Zeke conveyed messages of power, divine favor, and identity. Stone reliefs adorned public spaces and palaces, depicting gods, legendary heroes, and royal achievements. These images reinforced the legitimacy of rulers and connected the kingdom's people to their mythic past, fostering unity and cultural pride. Assyrian and Eurasian attempts to isolate Zeke economically included embargoes and control of key trade routes. These pressures strained the kingdom's resources, but also forced innovation. Zeke's merchants found alternative paths, forging new alliances and adapting goods to maintain their economic vitality despite external blockades. Festivals in Zeke blended religious devotion with social celebration. Seasonal harvest festivals, victories in battle, and religious observances brought communities together through music, dance, and feasting. These events reinforced communal bonds, honoured the gods, and rejuvenated morale in a land where survival often depended on unity. Zeke's metallurgists excelled in crafting bronze tools and weapons that rivaled those of their neighbours. Their work included finely balanced swords, durable axes, and functional agricultural implements. These technological skills supported both the economy and military, showcasing the kingdom's resourcefulness and independence despite limited resources. Modern scholars continue to puzzle over the language of Zeke. Linguistic analysis draws from scant inscriptions and comparative studies with neighbouring tongues. Each breakthrough sheds light on cultural exchanges, social structure, and religious beliefs, slowly piecing together a language once spoken by a forgotten kingdom at the crossroads of empires. Guarding mountain passes was vital for Zeke's survival. Small, agile patrols monitored enemy movements and maintained communication lines. The kingdom's knowledge of hidden paths and natural barriers allowed early warnings and rapid troop deployments, ensuring defences could be mobilised before enemy forces arrived. Diplomacy was a delicate art for Zeke's rulers. Envoys negotiated treaties, peace agreements, and trade deals, balancing threats and opportunities. These diplomatic missions required tact and intelligence, as a misstep could provoke war or isolation. Through careful negotiation, Zeke preserved its autonomy amidst powerful neighbours. Archaeological excavations continue to reveal the footprint of Zeke's civilization. Each artifact and architectural remnant adds depth to our understanding, illuminating daily life, social organisation, and cultural achievements. As layers of soil are peeled back, the story of a vanished kingdom slowly comes into focus, enriching the history of the ancient Near East. Zeke's pottery showcases a unique blend of styles, merging indigenous motifs with those from Assyria and Urartu. The geometric patterns and animal depictions speak to the symbolic language of the people, reflecting their beliefs, daily life, and environment. Pottery wasn't just functional, but a canvas for artistic expression and cultural identity, often traded as prized commodities. Though mountainous, Zeke maintained access to vital waterways, facilitating river trade that connected inland settlements with wider trade networks. Boats transported metals, timber, and agricultural products downstream, linking Zeke to distant markets. This integration into regional commerce helped the kingdom sustain economic resilience amid geopolitical instability. Pastoralism was a backbone of Zeke's economy, with shepherds guiding flocks through challenging terrain to fertile valleys. Herding livestock like sheep, goats, and cattle provided food, wool, and trade goods. This mobile lifestyle required intimate knowledge of the landscape and seasonal cycles, fostering a culture of adaptability and community cooperation. The King of Zeke was not only a political leader, but also a religious figure, embodying divine authority. Elaborate robes, headdresses, and regalia symbolize this dual role, worn during ceremonies to legitimize rule and inspire loyalty. Royal rituals emphasize the king's role as mediator between gods and people, essential for social cohesion and governance. Bronze smithing was a revered craft in Zeke, central to both military power and everyday life. Skilled smiths produced weapons capable of piercing armor, as well as tools for agriculture and construction. Mastery over metallurgy gave Zeke a technological edge, allowing it to equip warriors and sustain its economy, despite limited natural resources. Territorial boundaries in the region fluctuated constantly as wars, alliances, and diplomacy shifted power balances. Zeke's borders waxed and waned with military successes and setbacks. These dynamics reflect the kingdom's precarious position as a buffer state caught between larger empires striving for dominance. Religious artifacts from Zeke reveal a rich spiritual life tied closely to nature worship. Bowls used in libations, figurines representing deities or spirits, and altars found in mountain shrines speak to a belief system focused on fertility, protection, and harmony with the environment. These objects provide vital clues to Zeke's cultural and religious worldview. Mountain warfare demanded exceptional endurance, skill, and tactical ingenuity. Zeke's warriors were masters of fighting in narrow, treacherous passes, where large forces, heavy cavalry and chariots, favoured by empires like Assyria, were largely ineffective. Armed with spears, shields and slingshots, these fighters could launch swift, precise attacks from hidden positions. The kingdom's military strategy was deeply adapted to its rugged environment. Fighters used the steep terrain to ambush invading armies, control key choke points, and cut off enemy supply lines. This intimate knowledge of the landscape transformed the natural obstacles into powerful defensive assets, repeatedly frustrating the campaigns of better-equipped foes. Zeke's ability to harness its harsh geography was a key factor in its resilience and survival. Agriculture in Zeke required ingenuity to cultivate crops on steep mountain slopes. Terracing and irrigation systems maximized arable land and conserved water, supporting grain and vegetable production. These farming methods reveal a sophisticated understanding of environmental management, essential for sustaining growing populations in challenging terrain. As the sun sets over the rugged peaks once ruled by Zeke's kings, the legacy of this vanished kingdom lingers. Though much remains hidden beneath the earth and lost to history, the kingdom's story echoes in the mountains and artifacts, inviting us to rediscover a forgotten chapter in the saga of ancient empires. Zeke's mountain fortresses stood as silent sentinels over a rugged land where power was measured by endurance, adaptability, and resilience. These formidable strongholds were more than just military installations. They were the heart of the kingdom's defense, protecting its rulers, inhabitants, and the rich cultural heritage forged in isolation. Constructed from local stone and built to withstand both human assault and the harsh mountain elements, their walls have weathered millennia, silently guarding the stories and struggles of a society that thrived in the shadow of great empires. Nestled high above the valleys, these fortresses controlled vital mountain passes and trade routes, serving as bastions of security and centers of governance. Though the kingdoms of Assyria and Urartu loomed large, Zeke's fortresses embodied the kingdom's unique identity, a symbol of its ability to survive and endure, preserving its legacy even as history's giants rose and fell around it. Archaeology breathes new life into the story of Zeke. Each unearthed relic, inscription and ruin provides a puzzle piece connecting us to a civilization once overshadowed by mighty empires. Researchers face challenges from weather, terrain and scarce written records, yet their work is vital to preserving the memory of this vanished power. Digital reconstructions offer a remarkable window into Zeke's lost capital, allowing us to imagine the city as it once was, a vibrant center where bustling markets teemed with merchants trading pottery, textiles and exotic goods. Temples dedicated to gods and ancestors rose majestically, reflecting the kingdom's spiritual life and the king's dual role as political and religious leader. Streets once crowded with citizens, artisans and soldiers come alive again through these virtual models, giving us an immersive glimpse into daily life. These advanced digital tools bridge the gap between past and present, bringing history to life in ways traditional archaeology cannot. By virtually walking ancient thoroughfares, exploring homes, workshops and public spaces, we gain a deeper understanding of Zeke's social structure, economy and culture. Though buried beneath layers of earth and time, the spirit of this forgotten civilization is revived, reminding us of the enduring human story, etched into the mountains where Zeke once thrived. Comparing artifacts across neighboring cultures highlights Zeke's unique contributions and shared influences. While Assyria's imperial grandeur and Urartu's architectural feats loom large, Zeke's blend of innovation and tradition created a distinctive identity that resisted complete assimilation or erasure. Councils of elders and trusted advisors played a crucial role in shaping the fate of Zeke, especially during times of rising external threats. These gatherings were moments of intense deliberation, where wisdom, experience, and strategy merged to guide the kingdom's response to ever-shifting political landscapes. Whether deciding to form alliances, resist invading forces, or negotiate terms of peace, each choice carried immense weight, directly impacting the survival of the kingdom and its people. These critical decisions reveal the delicate, precarious tightrope Zeke's leaders had to walk, balancing diplomacy and defiance with great care. navigating between powerful neighbours like Assyria and Urartu required not only courage but also astute judgment and flexibility. This blend of political savvy and resilience helped preserve Zeke's independence for centuries amid the turbulent struggles that defined the region's history. Myths and legends passed down through generations deeply enriched Zeke's cultural fabric, weaving together history and the supernatural into a vibrant tapestry of identity. Tales of heroic ancestors, warriors and leaders who shaped the kingdom's destiny, were told around fires and in council halls, inspiring pride and unity among the people. Stories of divine interventions, where gods intervened to protect or punish, added a sacred dimension to everyday life, reinforcing the belief that Zeke was favoured by higher powers. Sacred mountains and natural landmarks were more than just terrain. They were seen as the dwelling places of spirits and guardians, anchoring the kingdom's spiritual worldview. These myths offered not only meaning, but also hope and guidance in an often harsh and uncertain world, dominated by powerful neighbours and constant threats. Through these stories, Zeke's people found strength, resilience, and a shared sense of purpose that helped them endure across centuries. Personal adornments from Zeke reveal the kingdom's artistry and social distinctions. Jewellery crafted from precious metals and stones signified status and identity, while textiles demonstrated weaving techniques passed down through generations. These artifacts are silent witnesses to the kingdom's complexity and its people's desire to express themselves. Though Zeke eventually vanished from the pages of recorded history, the rugged mountains that once sheltered its people continue to keep its memory alive. These highlands hold silent witness to a kingdom that endured through centuries of hardship, navigating the shifting tides of empire and conflict with remarkable resilience. Zeke's story is a powerful reminder that history is not only shaped by mighty empires like Assyria and Urartu, but also by smaller, often overlooked powers, whose influence quietly shape the cultural and political landscape. As a vital crossroads of trade, culture, and diplomacy, Zeke played a crucial role in connecting diverse peoples and traditions. Its legacy endures in the echoes of its mountain fortresses, ancient artifacts, and the stories passed down through time. In remembering Zeke, we honour the resilience of those who carved out survival and identity amid giants, proving that even the greatest empires rest upon the foundations laid by lesser-known kingdoms. Today, both scholars and local communities work hand in hand to honour the legacy of the Kingdom of Zeke, a civilization long buried beneath the sands of time, yet far from forgotten. Through painstaking research, archaeological excavations, cultural preservation, and the power of storytelling, this once vanished kingdom is slowly regaining its voice. Every newly uncovered artifact, every restored ruin, and every re-evaluated ancient text contributes to the reawakening of a history once thought to be lost. It is a delicate act of revival, one that fuses modern science with ancestral memory and academic inquiry with local tradition. For archaeologists, Zeke represents a frontier of historical understanding, a chance to fill in the blanks between dominant narratives shaped by larger, more well-documented empires. They sift through ruins and fragmented texts with great care, aware that each discovery, no matter how small, may shift our perception of the ancient Near East. Excavations are revealing structures that suggest urban planning, fortification systems that hint at military strategy, and cultural artifacts that point to a hybrid identity shaped by both resistance and assimilation. Cuneiform inscriptions from neighbouring powers occasionally reference Zeke, not as a mere subject, but as an active participant in regional affairs. These glimpses are crucial in reassembling a story long fragmented by time and imperial silence. At the same time, local communities in the regions once believed to be part of Zeke's domain are increasingly taking an active role in preserving their heritage. Oral histories, folk traditions, and place names passed down through generations are now being re-examined with fresh interest. What was once dismissed as myth or folklore is gaining renewed importance as a potential link to a forgotten past. Cultural pride is growing alongside academic recognition, creating a shared mission to protect the remnants of Zeke's legacy from the threats of erosion, neglect, or modern development. In these collaborative efforts, heritage is no longer the sole domain of the scholar. It becomes a living connection between past and present. Museums, both local and international, are beginning to exhibit artifacts tied to the kingdom, allowing people around the world to connect with Zeke's story. Documentaries, podcasts, and digital reconstructions are bringing its past to life with technology that allows us to visualize its people, its cities, and its place in the ancient world. These narratives breathe humanity into history, transforming Zeke from a forgotten footnote into a source of fascination and reflection. As we imagine what life must have been like for those who walked its streets, negotiated its politics, and worshipped in its temples, we come to understand the deep complexity and richness of a society that refused to be defined by its neighbours. This collaborative effort between scholars, local people, institutions, and digital storytellers underscores the critical importance of remembering forgotten histories. These are not just isolated curiosities or academic exercises. They are essential to shaping our broader understanding of the ancient world and the intricate web of interactions that defined it. By bringing Zeke's story back into the light, we challenge narrow historical narratives and open ourselves to a fuller, more inclusive version of the past, one that acknowledges the contributions of smaller, often marginalized cultures who held their ground in the shadow of giants. In a time when so much focus remains fixed on dominant civilizations, remembering places like Zeke is not just an act of recovery, but of justice. It ensures that the full spectrum of human experience is honored, that those who endured, adapted, and created something lasting, even if not monumental, are recognized for their role in shaping our collective story. The Kingdom of Zeke reminds us that history is never truly lost. It waits to be found, to be understood, and to be told anew. And in doing so, it offers us not just answers about the past, but also valuable lessons about resilience, identity, and the enduring impact of forgotten voices. Through ongoing research, preservation, and storytelling, Zeke's silence is being broken, and its message, once whispered across ruins and riddles, is once again being heard. The Kingdom of Zeke stands as a powerful testament to resilience, culture, and the enduring spirit of a people who lived caught between two great empires, Assyria and Urartu. Though much of its history remains shrouded in mystery, every discovery peels back another layer of the complex tapestry that defined this unique kingdom. As we uncover its secrets, we gain invaluable insight into the political, social, and cultural dynamics of ancient civilizations struggling to survive and thrive in challenging environments. Zeke's story reminds us that history is often shaped by the courageous and adaptable, not just the mighty. The Kingdom of Zeke stands as a powerful testament to resilience, cultural ingenuity, and the enduring spirit of a people who once lived in one of the most volatile crossroads of the ancient world, caught between the shadows of two great empires, Assyria to the south and Urartu to the north. While the names of those mighty neighbours echo through history books, Zeke remains largely a ghostly silhouette on the edge of the archaeological map. And yet, it was here, among harsh mountains, river valleys, and strategic trade routes, that a proud and adaptive kingdom forged its identity, navigating the tides of power and politics with remarkable determination. Though much of Zeke's history remains shrouded in mystery, each new discovery, whether a fragment of pottery, a collapsed city wall, or a cuneiform reference buried in an enemy's archive, adds another thread to the tapestry of this elusive civilization. Every artifact tells a story of survival, of diplomacy, and of cultural exchange. The people of Zeke were not passive bystanders to history. They were artisans, warriors, merchants, and leaders who actively shaped their destiny amidst regional chaos. Their kingdom was not built on conquest, but on negotiation, adaptation, and resilience. As we continue to uncover the secrets of Zeke, we find ourselves rethinking what it means to be powerful in the ancient world. Power is often measured in armies and empires, but Zeke offers another model, one built on endurance, cultural fusion, and the strategic use of geography. Rather than being swallowed up by larger forces, Zeke held its own for centuries, managing to balance alliances, resist invasions, and leave behind a quiet yet compelling legacy. In studying Zeke, we gain invaluable insight into the broader political, social, and economic dynamics of the ancient Near East. We see how smaller states survived between giants, how they negotiated identity in a landscape filled with danger, and how their stories, often overlooked, offer critical context for understanding the rise and fall of more dominant powers. Zeke is not just a footnote in the chronicles of Assyria or Urartu. It is a chapter in its own right, one that deserves recognition and continued exploration. Zeke's story reminds us that history is not just shaped by empires and kings, but by the courageous and the adaptable, by those who chose to endure when others fell, and by those who left their mark not in sweeping conquests, but in the subtler legacies of trade, art, and alliance. Their contributions are a testament to the complexity of human civilization and the surprising ways in which forgotten cultures can still speak to us across the ages. We hope this journey into the forgotten past has sparked your curiosity, expanded your understanding, and maybe even inspired you to dig deeper into the mysteries of ancient civilizations. If this glimpse into the lost world of the Kingdom of Zeke resonated with you, please consider supporting our channel. By liking this video, subscribing, and hitting the bell icon, you help us continue to bring you well-researched, thought-provoking explorations into the enigmas of history. There are countless more stories waiting to be told, of lost cities buried beneath the sands, languages still waiting to be deciphered, and peoples whose names have almost faded into silence. Join us as we journey into the past to rediscover what was nearly lost forever. From the highlands of Anatolia to the riverbanks of Mesopotamia, the next mystery might be just one excavation away. The Kingdom of Zeke may have faded from the official annals of history, lost beneath the dust of centuries and overshadowed by the towering empires of Assyria and Urartu, but its story continues to inspire a sense of curiosity, mystery, and wonder. In the quiet ruins that remain and the scattered inscriptions etched in foreign records, Zeke whispers to us, not as a forgotten casualty of imperial expansion, but as a living testament to the human capacity for endurance, adaptability, and identity amidst chaos. As we uncover its fragmented cities, reconstruct its forgotten trade routes, and decode the cultural clues left behind in pottery shards, fortification walls, and faded texts, we begin to see the outline of a civilization that refused to be simply consumed by the great powers surrounding it. The people of Zeke forged their own destiny in the margins, sometimes bending to the will of mighty neighbors, sometimes resisting, but always preserving something uniquely their own. In doing so, they carved out a space for themselves in one of the most turbulent regions of the ancient world. Zeke was more than a buffer state or a footnote to empires. It was a bridge between cultures. Positioned at the crossroads of political tension and economic opportunity, the kingdom became a melting pot of influences. Assyrian weapon styles, Urartian architecture, and local traditions intertwined to create a culture distinct from any single dominant force. It was a place where diplomacy was as vital as defense, and where survival meant knowing when to fight, when to trade, and when to fade temporarily into the background. To tell the story of Zeke is to highlight the importance of resilience, not just on a battlefield, but in the lived daily experience of a people who had to adapt constantly to shifting alliances, foreign threats, and the whims of history. These were communities that left their mark not through empire building, but through endurance, creativity, and the will to persist. Their legacy lies in the very act of survival, across generations, across pressures, and across time. Today, archaeologists and historians continue to piece together the puzzle of Zeke. Each find, a clay tablet referencing a Zeke envoy, a bronze tool unearthed near an ancient boundary, or the remnants of a forgotten citadel, adds depth to a picture long obscured. Each discovery breathes life back into a world that once thrived, reminding us that history is far richer and more diverse than the stories told solely by victors. The echoes of Zeke remind us that history is not only shaped by the mighty, by great conquests and monumental structures, but also by those who endure quietly in the margins, by those whose stories were nearly erased but now rise again from the soil. In Zeke's survival, and in its rediscovery, we find a metaphor for all lost voices across time, reminding us that every culture, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, contributes something vital to the human experience. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the forgotten kingdom of Zeke. We hope it sparked your imagination and deepened your appreciation for the hidden threads that hold together the fabric of ancient history. By exploring stories like Zeke's, we honor the countless civilizations that shaped our world in ways we are only beginning to understand. If you found this exploration compelling and want to continue uncovering the ancient mysteries that lie buried in time, please consider supporting our work. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click the bell icon to stay updated on our latest episodes. Your support allows us to keep delving into the unknown, bringing light to the past, and giving voice to the silent chapters of human history. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the past, because every lost story deserves to be told, and every forgotten kingdom, like Zeke, deserves to be remembered. Whether you're a lifelong history enthusiast, a student, a researcher, or someone who just loves a good mystery, your engagement helps keep these narratives alive for the next generation of explorers. So, stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop digging beneath the surface of accepted history, because the more we uncover, the more we realize how much has been lost or hidden over the centuries. Thank you for spending time with us. Until next time, and we'll see you on the next deep dive into the world's most puzzling historical enigmas.